Hello, my friends. This is well, I'm not sure what order you're watching them in, but this is the fourth and final card instructions that I'm preparing for you. So I'm on the home stretch here and getting this in before we head out for camping for the weekend. So pretty excited. This is, oh, I love this card. This is the Hello card. I just really love the look of black and white and then just a touch of color somewhere on your card. It's just so pretty. And for this one, we're using, of course, the flower and part of a word stamp from your set. And then I've used the Argyle 3D embossing folder. So that this embossing folder was, I think, first introduced with the golfing set from a prior catalog. And so, and it's still active in our annual catalog. So I embossed the black piece with that Argyle. And then I just picked up a die from one of the other sets. This is from the Poppy Moments bundle. So this is one of the dies from the Poppy set. And it just provided a really pretty little extra embellishment for this card. So I like to do that. I like to go back to my die sets and say, oh, where's something that would just kind of spiff this up a little bit, I guess. And so this is the one I grabbed. So in your kit for this card, you should have, starting with your white, Whisper White card base. This again is a piece of extra that I had hanging around, but your piece will be the heavyweight Whisper White cardstock from Stampin' Up. I love that for a card base. This is a little on the flimsy side compared to what's in your kit, and this one as well was kind of a flimsy one. I'm not a big fan of that, so I just really believe that the quality of a card really comes from the quality of the cardstock, and I think this one and this piece that I'm going to use for my other sample today are from some prior cardstock I had hanging around. I'm trying to use up some scraps and things in my room, and they are not Stampin' Up, and you can tell by the quality. So you have a very nice, sturdy, extra thick Whisper White cardstock base for your card, and then you'll have a piece of black cardstock that I ran through the Argyle embossing folder. Then I added a piece of this ribbon that I think is retired from Stampin' Up, but it is a Stampin' Up ribbon. The white sheer dots ribbon, this is still available at Stampin' Up. And then you will have a piece of designer series paper that's going to be a background piece, and yours is probably fairly long. I will end up cutting it down a little bit, but I want to make sure you had enough. You should have 2 of that die cut piece from the shimmer white paper. And then you should have a small piece of Whisper White cardstock that we're going to use for the word panel. And then some piece of scrap Whisper White that you're going to use to stamp your flower. And we have to fussy cut this one again because there were not dies for this stamp set. But again, you'll see that it's a pretty fast cut, so it's not too bad. All right, and also there should be there will be a black gem in there. So I'll just put that there with the host code for this month. All right, and then we're gonna I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink from Stampin' Up. The reason I'm using Memento is I'm going to color with the Stampin' Blends. Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based markers, and you need a particular type of ink pad so that when you color, it isn't bleeding this ink color, because otherwise you're going to end up with a yellowy black mess. So that's really important. If you're using Stampin' Blends, you need Memento ink. Okay, you can do this card with other products. So if you don't have a Memento ink or you don't have the Stampin' Blends, you can use any kind of marker, or even you even use pencil crayons or colored pencils. I think we call them pencil crayons maybe in Canada more than you do in the US. Anyway, colored pencils. So anything that you have to color this image, and you can do it any color as well. So maybe you've started to collect some Stampin' Blends, but you don't have yellow. Any color is just going to provide a beautiful pop on this card. So don't be confined to this color. And hopefully, if you do have some Stampin' Blends, you've bought them in the color set, so the light and dark of one color. And that's what I'm going to be doing here and showing you how they blend together very nicely. Okay, so this is what we've got going on. We're going to be using 2 stamps from your set, the flower stamp and the words that say just saying hello. And we're going to use that technique of covering up part of the stamp so that we can just stamp the word hello. Again, just seeing how you can use the stamps that you have to make them go further and modify things. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start by folding my cardstock in half. And providing a good crease with my bone folder. Sometimes if it kind of gets a little messy, I'll just turn it over and use the other side. Now you can go ahead and glue this background piece down right now. There's nothing that needs to go underneath it or anything. It can just get glued right down to the card. Try to keep your borders as even as you can. Now I'm going to take this piece, and like I said, it's longer than I want it to be. So I'm going to just cut a piece off, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my banner end. Sometimes it's easier to turn it over if the pattern is really hard for you to see where you had cut it. So just cut right up the middle, and then from each end cut in. I don't know what that mess is up there on that piece. I don't know how I got. It's looking kind of inky or something. Put my glasses on. Okay, so now I have this piece, and I'm going to just go ahead and put this down. And really it's just all I'm doing is building up some interest on this card. So I'm going to just put this right, come on it this way. A little higher. Okay, put that down. And then I'm gonna, now again, you might need to cut your ribbon if it's a little long. I try to give you more than not enough, because that's probably the best way to be, right? More than not enough. So you might want to cut a little bit down. And this is a wire edge ribbon, so watch those little pieces. Okay, so I'm going to just have it go across like that. So I'm just going to put some adhesive right here. A good amount. And then just kind of place it how I want it. I just like to see lots of things poking up. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to stamp my flower. Make sure I ink it really well. Nice and juicy. Stamp it down on my scrap piece. Give it some nice even pressure. Let it sit there for a little bit just to kind of let the paper kind of soak in that ink. And then, beautiful. Do you ever do that? Do you, like, when I lift up my image, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I guess that's why I love stamping. I don't know. It just kind of takes my breath away. Anyway, so set that aside and we're going to stamp the words. So remember, we were using washi tape to cover up part of our stamp so that we can ink up just what we need. Okay, so this one's going to be a little trickier because it's got some extra pieces. So I'm going to start with this and go across right there like so. And then I'm going to need a couple longer pieces, or pieces in a different direction, to kind of cover that up. See what I'm doing there? Just covering up this other word. You could, I mean, you could stamp and cut out around the word that you want, but I like it, you know, on a nice rectangular piece like that. So see how I've got all that extra covered up and just the word hello is showing down at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to ink it up. Again, you could use any ink. It doesn't have to be Memento for this purpose, but since I have Memento out for my flower, I'm just going to use it. And I'm just inking up the bottom. I'm going to do this not on my table. Not sure if you watched the first video I sent you, but everything was shaking. And see how it just kind of all comes up like that for you very nicely. Make sure you remove that. Now I have some ink up here. I know it's not going to be on the piece of cardstock that I have because that piece is very small, but I do kind of want to get it cleaned up so it doesn't make a mess. Okay, so now I'm going to carefully try. This is not the easiest to line up. It's kind of a little funky, but you know, don't worry. Again, we're not looking for perfection, right? So just stamp that down, even pressure. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so I will put those aside, clean them up later, get rid of my dirty, inky, wet piece of washi tape and get that out of the way. Okay, now we're ready to put everything together. So for this one, I'm going to make that little banner end. Since I have a pretty long piece, I'll make it a little bit, not quite as short. Make it a little bit longer banner. And then I'm going to add my gem. Again, if you have the take your pick tool, that kind of helps sort of get underneath that with the adhesive. Keeps it in a spot where you can easily just then lay it down. Okay, so that piece is ready. All right, I think I'm gonna color before I fussy cut this flower, just because then I have a little bit more room to work with. So I'm using the Stampin' Blends, and they're alcohol-based markers, and they will blend together, which is why that's what they're called, Stampin' Blends. If you wonder why I have washi tape on my markers, I put that on my felt tip end, not my sharp pointed end, because this is typically what I use. So instead of me having to look and see what is printed on it, I know that that's my end that I want. Okay, so I'm starting with the darker color. Some people start light, then add dark, then go over the whole thing with light. To me, that's an extra step that I don't know why you need it. So I just go right from the dark, and then I go over with it in the light. Same as when we did the other flower. Use the artist rendering of where the dark spots are. Okay, and you see, this is so fast. I mean, I'm really just kind of scribbling some color down. Nothing fancy about that. I think I'm going to keep the center dark. Okay, that is not fancy coloring, my friends. That is not. Okay, and then with the light, you can go right over. And I don't even care if I go over the edge because I'm cutting it out. And if there's some spots that kind of don't look like they've blended, you can go back over them. Do know that the blending will continue happening even after you've laid down your color. That's the beauty of the Stampin' Blends. They really are pretty sweet. Can you see that nice blending and two-tone that you get with that? Okay, that's it. And now you're just going to fussy cut, and it's pretty much already dry because it's alcohol based, so you'll see it come through your other side of your paper, so be aware of that. It usually doesn't bleed right into what's underneath, but just know that you will see that come through, and that's okay, that's normal. But yeah, it's already dry. So I'm going to come in here. Now I'm fussy cutting, but I am going to kind of take my time a little bit because I like to have kind of an even, consistent little white edge around it. Now, having said that, yeah, I did go off a little bit, and so it's not going to look white there, but I'm okay with that. Right here is where I kind of went. I colored outside the lines. That's what happened. Yep. Colored outside the lines. You know me. I don't always follow the rules. But hey, life would be kind of boring if you just always followed the rules, right? Now, there are some rules that I do follow. We won't get into those. Almost done. See how I'm mostly turning the paper? It's just easier to get a nice smooth cut edge that way. I'm not even using my best scissors for this. Okay, there we go. There she is in all her glory and beauty. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to put the rest of the pieces together. So with these very, very delicate little pieces, I hope they came across through your mail or packaging well. I am actually going to cut this one apart and get two pieces. And so I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to use two bottom leaves, and I'm going to just come in here and clip it right there, just like it was meant to be on its own, and that this one is meant to be on its own. Okay, and all that's going to do is it's going to give me a little more thickness here, and this little guy's poking out the bottom just on its own, and it's fine. Okay, so what I want to do is pull out my glue dots, or whatever adhesive you like to use, and I'm gonna get these guys in position. So my flower's gonna kind of go, I think, like this. So I want one of them down here. And I want the other one, where did I put him? Right there. I want the other one up here. Okay, so I've just put my glue dots on the back where I want these guys to be. Now the bottom one is going to be in here like so. I think I want them a little closer in. Okay, And then this guy, let's start with the little piece first. Boy, I almost totally missed that glue dot back there. Let's try that again. Okay, and then I'm going to start with this one. And then bring this one in over top. And just kind of get it looking the way you like it. There, and so see how you've made it look like two very different pieces. All right. So beautiful. And then the last thing is to add some of this fun little very sheer polka dot ribbon. And I actually am going to just cut mine in half because I want to work with it that way. I'm going to fold it in half, and I am going to put them probably on pretty much opposite sides of where I put these two die cut pieces. So get me a couple more glue dots. I do love glue dots. And put one here and one over here, just like that, like perfect. Let's go this way. Well, this is going to be opposite to how I did it on this card, but that is still okay with me. It's really just to add more dimension to your card. Okay, and there you go. That's basically it. I think I want to move this one in a little bit more. Don't want it quite that far out. Okay, so now I'm going to put the flower down with some mounting tape. I like to try and catch some of these extra pieces that I've put on the back, just to make sure that they're going to just stay in place when I put this down. Don't really like things to go missing in the mail. All right. And I'm going to put this guy on right here. Just like so. I am happy with that. And then some mounting tape on the back of this guy. Big one right in the center. Okay. It's quiet. All right. Now put that right in the bottom like so. There we go. And then there's just one last thing to do, right? Minkastella. And you know, you could color this flower with different colors. Doesn't have to be like one tone. It doesn't have to be like all yellow or all pink. You could have a little pink and purple, or however you want to do it. You could do something that's a little bit more fall-ish. But anyway, I just think that's such a pretty card, and all these extra little things I hope that you take away from these classes in the mail, or some of the videos that I share. Just adding these little extra things just really, really, punch up the card and the level, and just make it really super pretty. You could even add a couple clear gems on here if you wanted. But anyway, I hope you really like this one, and thank you for being part of this class by mail. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you love using this set. I just think there's so much that can be done with it. Some of these pieces are really nice for making some like collage backgrounds. And you can, don't forget to pull these out, especially like this, or even, the feather or this kind of greenery piece. Either any of these background pieces, they add a lot to another card. So if you've got another stamp set and you're just looking for a little something, these are great. If you don't have a lot of dies, stamping this in green and just doing kind of an easy fussy cut around it, can serve as like a die cut piece, as a piece like this. So I hope you really enjoy using that, and thank you again, and take care and have a good weekend, and I hope you all stay healthy. I miss seeing you, and I will try and get a video where you see my face posted on Facebook at some point in the near future. But anyway, I hope you stay well, and thank you again. Take care. Bye.